Hello, I'm Mark Baer. Welcome to the Your Town television program. Tonight, my first guest, David Armanasco. And I'm going to have you tell us a little bit who you are and who you're representing tonight and why you're here.
Well, first of all, thanks very much, Mark, for inviting me to be on the show. I'm a native of Monterey, born here, raised here, lived here, and I've had a business in Monterey now for almost 29 years, a public relations business. And through those 29 years, one of the issues that our company has seemed to be involved with constantly is water. And today I'm here to share with you an update on DeepWater Desal. I am a member of the DeepWater Desal LLC partnership, and we are building, intend on building a desal facility in Moss Landing.
So let's talk a little bit about what this is and who your group is.
Well, DeepWater Desal, three of us came together in 2010, and very quickly it was four. And in 2011, we formalized our LLC. We now have 9 partners, each one with a very specific specialty and experience. And this has allowed us to put in a great deal of sweat equity, you might say, rather than having to hire a lot of outside consultants. Brent Constance, who is a very experienced scientist, Stanford professor, and someone who started and built, this is the 7th company, is the founder and CEO of DeepWater Desal. And then we have 2 fellows who are engineers who between them have built almost 100 desal plants all around the world, both water treatment plants, wastewater treatment plants, and of course desalinization facilities. One of our team members used to be the chief engineer for Poseidon, which is a well-known company in the U.S., currently building a large facility down in Carlsbad, California.
DeepWater is a unique technology that you're dealing with. It has applications beyond the Monterey region. It has global applications. So let's talk so that our audience understands a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about the technology and some terms about what you're actually doing here.
Well, we have, for DeepWater Desal, we have come up with a technological interface which involves co-locating a data center next to a desalinization facility. And it all begins with the gift of Moss Landing and the Deepwater Canyon. The Deepwater Canyon comes up nearly to the beach in Moss Landing, and as those who've been around Monterey Bay for even a short time learn quickly, it's one of the deepest deepwater canyons in the entire world. And the benefit to all the Monterey Bay region is the location of that Deepwater Canyon, because the water that comes up that canyon with a constant upflow is very good, clean, and cold water. So if we're intaking water at 100 feet below the surface, we are environmentally not causing any harm. There's relatively little larval action or large fish down there that would be impacted by an intake facility. So you bring cold water up from the deep and you cool the data center, because the data center is just merely a huge building with thousands of computers that are basically the cloud, handling all the iPhones, the iPads, etc. Fastest growing industry in the United States, now using 3% of the U.S. energy. And a data center generates a lot of heat. So by using cold water, you can reduce the cost of operating a data center by 2/3, because 2/3 of the cost is air conditioning.
Okay, so let's talk about the economics of this, because as we're here in the climate seems very edgy this winter here. What does this mean economically here? What kind of salvation could this possibly bring us? The governor just did the first stage of a water alert, and it may become mandatory water cut back very soon. So where does this fit into the equation?
Well, DeepWater Desal has started with two things. One, the Deepwater Canyon, and two, science. So DeepWater Desal has just completed 18 months of live testing where the intake facility would be located. In addition to that, in another couple of weeks, by mid-February, we will have our discharge study complete, which is now being finalized down at Scripps Institute in La Jolla. So these studies will be complete. DeepWater Desal's intention is that by being located on the power plant site in Moss Landing, that it will be able to serve the entire region of Monterey Bay. So those water agencies around Monterey Bay that will need water in the future can have the alternative of becoming part of a joint powers authority, because our intention is to turn the desal project over to the public. We believe the ocean is a public resource, and therefore the desal portion of our project should ultimately be owned by the public. But at this stage, we're taking the entrepreneurial risk to get it built, which means proving out the science, then going through our environmental impact studies, which will begin in March with the auspices of the State Lands Commission being the lead agency, and that should take about a year. And once the environmental impact report is certified, we'll then be able to go for an application to the California Coastal Commission. So leading back to your question about the economics, if we're approved by the California Coastal Commission, it would take us a year to build the plant. And then the communities that need water would need to bring their pipelines to the fence at Moss Landing. But by producing 25,000 acre-feet of water, we're able to drive the cost down to $1,016 an acre-foot at our fence line. Now that also is benefited because of the forward view that the city of Salinas has taken by partnering with us in a memorandum of understanding to be our municipal power provider. And so by the city of Salinas can buy the power at wholesale and sell it to us at a rate just above wholesale, where they create a good income stream for Salinas, but it also allows the consumers around Monterey Bay to have that power at considerable price below the grid price.
Which it guarantees agricultural water as well.
Yes, well, it puts less stress. That's
yes.
For certain.
What local support do you have? Who's for it? Who's been your champions here?
Well, we have some very good forward-thinking people in the community. As you know, there's been a tremendous amount of focus on what California American Water Company is doing and what they're proposing in their project. But we've been asked to be on the Monterey Peninsula to be the backup project by the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District. And the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District has offered and is passed by their board funding up to $800,000 towards our environmental impact studies. And so that is a definite vote of confidence. They did a very thorough review of our project and felt confident enough that we had all the components and the idea and the land that we're going to put this on to have the confidence to support us in that fashion. The California Public Utilities Commission has also received a project environmental assessment report, a project description of DeepWater Desal as an alternate to CalAm's proposal.
So what hurdles are you facing?
The hurdles that we're facing right now is time, because we have taken a great deal of time to do the science right. And so taking 18 months to really study where the intake location is so that we can demonstrate that it's independent study that was conducted and the protocols were established independently by scientists that are well known to the Coastal Commission. So we wanted to do everything right and above board. So now that we have that completed, the next period of time for us is going to be the EIR studies that will have to be done for both California to meet the CEQA requirements, and also for the federal studies that will need to meet what are called the NEPA requirements. So those are our next hurdles. Then when we have an environmental impact report certified, the next hurdle will be the California Coastal Commission in terms of making application there. But there is certainly a very strong argument for desal around Monterey Bay, as all of our rivers and tributaries are overdrawn and in stress. And it's not just a Monterey Peninsula problem. The Soquel Creek Water District, which serves Aptos and Capitola and that surrounding area, is having to cut back by 35% because of their supplies are diminishing.
Now with desal, are there waste issues, and how are waste issues being dealt with?
There is no waste issue. There is the discharge of brine, and the way you handle that is you dilute it. And so when you send the 50% of the water back into the ocean, you dilute that with ocean water. You dilute that brine. But because the Deepwater Canyon gives so much upwelling and force, it's very powerful, and it disperses anything that's discharged out there very, very rapidly. So we believe there's going to be absolutely minimum and probably no impact. Also, because that water comes out warmer when it's going into the ocean, it will rise, and the salts will not settle on the seafloor. So it'll have the chance to be dispersed very quickly.
So this is a very big deal, and this is very good science, it seems to me. I mean, so one of the things I want to do, because our time here is short, where can people go to find more information about this?
They can go to DeepWaterDesal.com. And I do caution people, our website is up, but there's a few parts of it that we're updating. So it's not completely current as of today. Most of it is, but there are some parts, just to clarify, because we are in the process of updating now that we have finished this round of studies.
So DeepWaterDesal.com. I want to say it again because it's people are hearing this just one time.
Yeah, DeepWater Desal, all one word, .com.
Okay, great. And how long before we could have water here like this? I mean,
if we finish our environmental impact report, say in late spring of 2015, and hopefully we could get before the California Coastal Commission within 6 months. Sometimes it's longer, but because water issues are so paramount in California, I would anticipate that the Coastal Commission would hopefully allow us to get in front of them within a 6-month period after certification. And then those hearings would go on, and depending upon how those hearings go, once a decision is made, hopefully a favorable one because of the benefit to the community and the proof of the science. Then a year after that, so in 2016, towards the end of 2016, we could be in construction and completing a plant towards the end of 2016.
Wow.
And be online.
So, again, just because this is fairly complex, how did the idea of bringing the data centers and the desal,
I really appreciate your asking that question.
Those aren't two things that go together. I mean, that's pretty
No, you know
smart.
what? I'm so glad you asked that question, because it really is a terrific thing. From the very beginning, we kept asking ourselves, how can we drive the costs down? The first question everybody would always ask us is, how much is it going to cost? And because people have an impression that desalinization is very expensive, because it does require a lot of power. So everything we did along the way was to bring the cost down. So we started with the municipal power agreement with the city of Salinas to bring the electrical cost down. Then we learned from Google about a plant they did built in Finland, right next to a saltwater fjord, where it was an old sawmill and a paper mill, excuse me, and they turned it into a data center, and they brought cold water up instead of installing air conditioning. So we learned that from Google, and we thought to ourselves, well, we have the same source right here, and it is very cold water. So we have met actually with designers from Google and from other data center companies. We have data center companies that have been and visited the property and have expressed interest in being here, and so we're very excited because that component will help us drive the cost of water down significantly.
Wow, so this is good stuff. David Armanasco, thank you very much for being with us today. Again, DeepWaterDesal.com. Let's get it right.
Okay, thank you, Mark. It's a pleasure to be here.